Back to homelessness, what would you say the state of homelessness is in Boulder today?
Homelessness. We're going to talk about all the really big, hard-hitting issues, right? Homelessness.
You've got great opinions. I think there's a lot of people interested. I'm very interested.
Okay, let's all remember I'm a farmer's market executive director, right? So my lane is not this broad, but I was proud to work for the Regional Housing Partnership effort when I was at the Human Services Department. And that was a collaborative process with all of the cities and the county in this area to deal with homelessness together. It was this idea that you could share money, you could share expertise, you could share nonprofit providers, and you could work on something as a region together. I think that's the right idea. I think regional systems are the most resilient because you know the community, but you achieve scale. So that was a program that was incredible, and we didn't have enough housing before the pandemic. We didn't have enough housing before Boulder got expensive the last time and then the next time. So in some ways, we're really playing catch up, and we know that housing insecurity, homelessness is a national housing shortage issue. There's just not enough housing stock for people nationally. We have more people who want to live places than we have homes for them. So that national issue is affecting lots of different communities in lots of different ways, and certainly impacting Boulder. I think people will point to the open air homelessness issue as one that's really important to our community. And I share that concern and desire to address that specific issue. I think people don't see families who are doubling up with friends because they can't afford their rent anymore. I don't think people see seniors who are leaving our community because they can't live here on a fixed income. I think people don't see folks who are working multiple jobs in our community and sleeping in their car in order to serve at your favorite local restaurant. So in addition to that really visible homelessness issue, there's just a chronic unaffordability, chronic lack of diverse housing for diverse families and diverse kinds of people. And by diverse, I mean, there's not a condo, there's not a townhouse, there's not a starter home, there's not a big group house model that will really meet the needs of a modern workforce and modern community.
Hey, I just wanted to jump in here and give a quick shout out to the sponsor of today's podcast, B Micro, the easiest way to sneak vegetables into any meal. Due to soil depletion, GMOs, and monocropping, Americans are not getting enough nutrients. So in 2018, I founded B Micro, the first freeze-dried microgreens company in the U.S. to help Americans get more concentrated natural nutrients into their diet. Microgreens are a phase in the plant's life when they're 14 days old and naturally the most concentrated in vitamins, minerals, nutrients, all the good things that we need. Our microgreens are grown here in the U.S. in soil in a greenhouse. They're certified USDA organic and regenerative organic. We grow, wash, and freeze dry them to extend their 1-week shelf life to over 1 year, allowing us to ship anywhere in the U.S. without the worry of spoilage. We have 2 flavors, broccoli, backed by over 2,000 studies on sulforaphane and its powerful detox benefits, and a blend of red cabbage, radish, and broccoli, the most potent detox formula we've tested, offering you the most bang for your buck. Easily sneak these microgreens in any meal. Eggs, smoothies, pizza, pasta, even your kids' mac and cheese, you can't even taste it. Use code STEVE15 to save at bmicro.farm. I think when I think of homelessness, I think of that open air,
right?
Which I don't know all the terminology, but that means people kind of like sleeping in the park or on the streets. Right. That's open air homelessness. There's a whole other part of homelessness that I'd never really even thought about.
Right.
So that's people that are hardworking, working at a 9 to 5 at a restaurant, but they just have to sleep in their car because they can't. Here's their job, but they can't make it work. It's not that they have some type of mental disability, or they're abusing some type of drugs or something like that. I think that's probably the stereotypical, at least in my mind, homeless kind of situation.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, you'd be amazed how many people work multiple jobs in this community and can't afford to live here. A lot of people work really hard to make very little to not be able to afford their homes. And that's not unique to here, but it is I think, a problem, especially for places like Boulder or some of our mountain towns, where some of the things that make our place special is those service industries that are lower paying. And we have not figured out a good housing solution for folks who serve our community.
Are there any other, maybe more general misconceptions that the public has around homelessness?
I think something that I'll just note is the rise in homelessness for young kids in our community.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's a lot of families who are housing insecure in Boulder County, and that's not for lack of work. That's not for lack of attempt. It's just the average home cost is over $1.1 million in Boulder right now. It's pretty hard to have a family and work a minimum wage job in this community. So I'm noticing, and I think our community knows, that some of the Growing Up Boulder reports on child-friendly cities are increasingly highlighting youth homelessness and homelessness in young kids as an emerging issue that we need to be watching.
Are these kids on their own, or are they with a family and the whole family's homeless?
Both. So certainly with their families, and the whole family's homeless. And that can mean, you know, many things. It can mean living in your car. It can mean staying with a friend in a way that you don't have a lease or a lot of certainty. It can also mean that you are a young kid who is from a home that isn't able to provide for you, or that you are leaving an abusive situation, or you are without resources for a variety of reasons. And yeah, you're a young adult and you don't have a place to stay.
What do you think the federal government's role is here versus local government?
Man, Stephen, you're really getting me on my housing policy. You know,
you worked there. You were a pro, and you're so articulate, and you're knowledgeable. You're crushing all of this.
Man,
you're doing a great job.
I hope that you then have an actual housing expert, because I don't think there's a one size fits all.
Aaron Brockett was on here just last week, and that's why I feel kind of energized about it, because he shared quite a bit about it, and I can share more on that in a moment.
Awesome. Aaron is super smart, and I do think we have some incredible local leadership on this issue, so that heartens me. It is something that will take investment and will to deal with. So from my perspective, the federal government's role here is appropriately resourcing mental health supports and actually putting time and money into making sure that people can function in society through substance abuse assistance and other services. That's something we need when we're talking about catastrophic and historic rates of fentanyl abuse. That's a down systems issue. We are seeing chickens come home to roost that have been 30 years in the making there, and the federal government should invest in some of the solution and upstream divergence of that. We are also all responsible for creating environments where kids aren't facing traumatic events and having adverse experiences that can contribute to homelessness in later life. We are, I think, as an entire community, responsible for looking ourselves in the eyes and talking about the fact that we want people to live in this community, which means we sometimes have to build more density and more housing for more kinds of folks. So I think there's responsibility and innovation and solutions at the federal and local levels.
So with Aaron being on last week, he shared that homelessness is the number one issue that he faces today, and mostly from a mental health and substance abuse, alcohol being the number one substance abuse in our community and probably nationally for homeless and not homeless. Number one. Number two is fentanyl. Just last month, 4 people in Boulder died from overdose. He shared that they're just being snuck into pills. People are thinking they're taking like a painkiller, Oxycontin kind of a pill, and there's fentanyl in it. I'm like, why would these drug dealers kill their own customers? And
on and on, right?
On and on. But sometimes I wish that my customers were a little bit more addicted to microgreens. I wish microgreens were a little bit more addictive.
Oh no.
I'm like, how could I?
Different business model.
Just more like chocolate and microgreens. How can I just make, I just want a line at the farmer's market.
I want people to try them more. They're so delicious.